Hello everybody, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Hu Tao and I enjoy making Genshin Impact content, especially waifu content. And of course, the waifu we are all hyped for right now is Hu Tao. And I wanted to make an overview guide of her artifacts that I think will be good for her. But before we get started, remember, waifu over meta always. And in this video, I just also wanted to remind you that substats should always be prioritized over set bonuses whenever you are trying to farm for artifacts, and especially if you're trying to complete a 4-set bonus. But anyways, let's get started. I want to start off the guide by talking about 4-star artifact sets in case you're new to Genshin Impact and are below AR 40, AR 45. The first 4-star artifact I have here is the Berserker set. The 2-piece gives us a nice 12% crit rate, and when your HP is below 70%, it also increases your crit rate by an additional 24%, making it a total of 36%. This would be easy to achieve because Hu Tao's elemental skill, when activated, takes off 30% of your current HP automatically, and it is your current HP, not your max HP, which is good because as long as you are never in full health, like in every team that has Bennett as a healer, you will always meet the 4-piece requirement when you enter Guide to the Afterlife. I think this is a good set early game before AR 40. You really don't have good crit rate early on, but with this set it makes it easier to achieve your crit damage, especially since Hu Tao's Ascension gives you more crit damage. The next set I think could be good for early game is Martial Artist. It increases your normal attack and charge attack damage by 15%. The 4-piece says after using an elemental skill, it increases your normal attack and charge attack damage by an additional 25%, right? It should stack together, correct me if I'm wrong, but this means after entering Guide to the Afterlife, you will have a 40% increased damage in your normal and charge attacks for 8 seconds. When in Parameta Papilio, your state only lasts for 9 seconds, meaning 8 out of the 9 seconds you're in Parameta Papilio, you will have this increase in your damage for your normal and charge attacks. This artifact set is very good for early game because of the consistent normal and charge attack damage boost you get from the set. Since most of your damage is going to come from activating Guide to the Afterlife, the 4-piece works great because 8 out of the 9 seconds you will receive a total of 40% damage boost. The only detriment is that 1 second of downtime, but if you really want to be optimal with your damage boost from Guide to the Afterlife, you might as well use that last second to use your elemental burst, so that way you can gain that attack damage boost to boost up your elemental burst. The last one that I think is worth mentioning is the Gambler set. It increases your elemental skill damage by 20%. The 4-piece says defeating an opponent has a 100% chance to remove elemental skill cooldown. This can only occur once every 15 seconds. This set only increases the damage from your Blood Blossom, so be careful with that. It doesn't increase your damage from your normal charge attacks. The elemental skill damage only affects your Blood Blossom damage. The 4-piece is nice because you can basically have almost 100% uptime on your Guide to the Afterlife, but that's only if you really want Hu Tao to be a selfish DPS and not want to switch out. Like I said, I think these sets are good for early game, like before AR 40, because once you're finally able to farm 5-star artifacts, there's such a big gap between 4-star and 5-star artifacts that it's not worth having a 4-star artifact set in the late game, because you want to take advantage of the most stat boost you will get on your character. And this is just me, but you really shouldn't farm for artifacts until AR 45 when you're guaranteed at least one 5-star artifact in every domain run. And that's all I really have to say about 4-star artifact sets for Hu Tao. Now let's get into the 5-star artifact sets. The first two I will go over briefly because I already made a video comparing both of them is Lavawalker and Crimson Witch set. But here's kind of my TLDR of both sets. Lavawalker is a good set if you're not involving elemental reactions or attacking slimes, but essentially it's going to give you a 35% pyro damage bonus that will boost your whole kit. And I say this because all of Hu Tao's damage after entering Guide to the Afterlife, you will be constantly applying the pyro element onto enemies, and essentially you'll be getting a 35% pyro damage bonus because this damage boost is additive in the damage formula and not multiplicative like the mistake I made in the last video. If you want to compare this to the Crimson Witch set, the Crimson Witch set essentially gives you a 22.5% pyro damage boost when entering Guide to the Afterlife. This is 12.5% less than the Lavawalker damage boost, but it doesn't need a condition to be sustained, and you're going to be gaining other damage boosts when causing elemental reactions, just like it says right here with the Overload and Vaporize and Melt. This should make up the difference in pyro damage and might be better overall, but just make sure Hu Tao is the one causing the elemental reactions in order to take advantage of the 4-piece boost you get from Crimson Witch. Gladiator's Finale, the 2-piece gives you an 18% attack boost, and if the wielder is a polearm, it also increases your normal attack damage by 35%. Gladiator is okay, but it doesn't really give you the best value because of Hu Tao's low base attack compared to other characters. And also the 4-piece only increases your normal attack damage, not your charge attack, which is what you need to apply Blood Blossom to your enemies. And of course, it also doesn't increase your burst, which is also a huge part of Hu Tao's kit. Another set I will mention in case you're running a shield composition team is the Retracing Bolide set. It increases your shield strength by 35%, but once you have a 4-piece, while protected by a shield, gain an additional 40% normal and charge attack damage. This artifact set has access to one of the biggest increase in damage boost. The only thing is, like the set says, it only increases your normal and charge attack, not your burst. And of course, you always have to have a shield in order to gain this additional damage boost. But of course, if you're running Zhongli or Diona or any other shield characters, this should be an easy condition to fulfill in order to get this additional attack boost. Now I kind of want to talk about some unorthodox options for Hu Tao. For example, the Bloodstained Chivalry set. The physical damage increase could be useful whenever you're not in Pyramid Papilio, but then you're not getting your damage boost, so what's the point? But the 4-piece, it says after defeating an opponent, increases your charge attack damage by 50% and reduces its stamina cost to 0 for 10 seconds. That reduction in stamina cost is basically Hu Tao C1. So essentially, this is a set that can give you the highest damage boost out of all the other sets, 50%. But of course, it only is for your charge attacks. And if you really want to apply Blood Blossom to all the enemies, and the only thing you're going to do is charge attacks with Hu Tao, and this could be one kind of worth messing around with. It could be interesting. I'm not saying go for it, right? No one's saying like, oh yeah, go for it. But I'm just saying it could be interesting as far as the damage boost and reduction of stamina cost, especially with all the leaks you've seen of Hu Tao's charge attack animation being so fast. Another one I want to talk about is Thundering Fury. Now, of course, the 2-piece is useless. No way she's going to do electro damage. But the 4-piece increases damage caused by overload, kind of like Crimson Witch, by 40%. But here's the thing right here. Triggering such effects decreases elemental skill cooldown by 1 second. It can only occur once every 0.8 seconds. So basically, after Pyramid Papilla, you will have a 7-second cooldown on her elemental skill. So in those 9 seconds that you are in Pyramid Papilla, you manage to cause 7 elemental reactions. This is saying you cause 1 every second at least. You can potentially have 100% uptime on your skill. By the time your skill's done, you're going to be ready to go into the skill again. But of course, it comes with the price of trying to set up the electro element beforehand with like Fischl or maybe Beidu's ultimate, something like that. But it's kind of really niche, but it's just something interesting and worth taking a look at. I definitely don't recommend it, but if you're bored, you have maybe like a god tier freaking Thunder and Fury set, and yeah, see how that goes. All right, the last unorthodox option I want to talk about is the Heart of Death, the Hydro set. Now of course, same thing with Thunder and Fury, the 2-piece is useless, but check this out. After using the elemental skill, it increases your normal attack and charge attack damage by 30% for 15 seconds. Kind of reminds me of the Martial Artist set, except this is a 5-star artifact set. Now with the Martial Artist, we would get 40% in total, and right here we're getting a 30% increase. This is very interesting because of how easy it is to meet the condition. Having a 15-second cooldown means that you can get this 30% increase in your charged attack and normal attacks all the time. This is essentially just 5% damage less than Lavawalker, but you don't need to have the power element on them, and you'll always have this boost as long as you enter the skill. The only downside is that it only affects your normal and charge attacks once again, and not your Blood Blossom damage or your elemental burst damage. But if you don't really care about that and you only care about your normal and charge attacks, this could be one worth trying out. Now once again, in these unorthodox options, I am not recommending you go farm for them, but I just want to point them out and see that they could be interesting because just for fun, right? Out of all these unorthodox options, the only one that I would probably test out is the Hydro set, because since I have Mona, I have Child, I already farmed for this set. I have pretty good artifacts for this set, so I might be trying it out, especially to give you guys content and give you guys a test to see if it's kind of worth having this 30% increase in your damage without any sacrifice. Now let's talk about some artifact combinations just in case you can't get a great 4-piece set or are interested in different combinations. The only 2-piece sets that I think is worth it is Crimson Witch with the 15% power damage bonus, Noblesse of course with the 20% elemental burst damage because of how high Hu Tao's elemental burst skill percent is, and of course Gladiator is always a good one because it's a 2-piece, it's just attack percent. Crimson Witch plus Gladiator gives you an overall damage boost on everything about Hu Tao's kit, and overall it's a pretty safe pick. It also helps because a lot of us are running an HP Sans piece to try to take advantage of Pyramid Papilio's damage boost, and this 2-piece kind of helps you with the attack percent you're missing from your arties, assuming of course you have an HP Sans piece, a power damage goblet, and a crit rate or crit damage circlet. A 2-piece Crimson and a 2-piece Noblesse kind of has a similar feel to Mona because Hu Tao has such a high burst skill percent, which means when the two sets are combined, it will give you a total of a 35% damage boost on your burst, which can lead to a huge number, kind of like how it does for Mona. And the last one is a 2-piece Gladiator and a 2-piece Noblesse, which is basically the same thing that I mentioned above with the Crimson and Noblesse, except it's just weaker. So in conclusion, like I said, substats over set bonuses always, but if you really want to set bonus, the easiest one to try and achieve and get the most value out of would probably be the 2-piece Crimson set because Hu Tao is just a pyro character and it will give you an overall damage boost on your whole kit. But at the end of the day, everyone has different artifact luck and play styles, so pick which set works for you the best. I hope you enjoyed the video. Just wanted to make an overall artifact guide / speculation for Hu Tao to see what y'all think about these sets for your own Hu Tao. Thank you so much for watching the video. I love you all, and remember, waifu over meta always, and we'll see you in the next video.